Donald Trump, Don the Con, the first president to be convicted of a crime in the history of this country. 57 prior elections before 2016, Donald Trump, the real estate mogul, won the election in 2016 once the calculator loads. He committed fraud when he falsified business records relating to the concealing of a hush money payment to Stormy Daniels to influence the outcome of the election. Stormy Daniels is gematria 57. 57 prior elections. Donald Trump influenced the election. He bribed Stormy Daniels to stay quiet about it. It wasn't Donald Trump that was paying Stormy Daniels. It was his personal lawyer that was making the payments, and Donald Trump was disguising it as business expenses. That's what happened right there. Real estate mogul is exact gematria of Stormy Daniels. And what else? It's 174 and 57. I think business records. No, let me remember. Maybe it was false. No. Trump the convict. Don the con. Trump the convict. Convict Trump is gematria 174. The first crime that he's officially guilty. He can never own a gun. He can never vote. This is a criminal. This is the law and order party. Law and order, but they're running a felon for president of the United States. And let's not get started with this presidency. He downplayed a pandemic. He ignored the deaths of thousands of Americans. He gave tax breaks to the billionaires. He continued the bombing in Yemen. He didn't end the war in Afghanistan. This guy did not give America a bigger and better healthcare plan. He instead gutted healthcare for millions of Americans. So this is the story of his presidency in a nutshell. And what is 57? The amount of time from Trump being a convicted felon to the day of the election is 5 months, 7 days later. He was guilty of 34 charges running against Joe Biden. Biden is gematria 34. What's gematria Michael Cohen? He directed the payments. Michael Cohen is 57 in reverse reduction. That's true. Michael Cohen, 96, is also gematria of Freemason, gematria of President Donald J. Trump. He's just another Freemason pawn at the end of the day. He makes connections with all these politicians to get favorable deals for himself and his cronies, screwing the other people in the market. Jury found that Trump authorized a plan to reimburse Cohen for the $130,000 hush money payment issued to Stormy Daniels and spread the payments across 12 months disguised as legal expenses. He committed business fraud. He is the first former president to be convicted of a crime. This is the Donald Trump legacy we're dealing with. The 34 business records, Trump was found guilty of falsifying, guilty of all 34 counts. Michael Cohen's invoice, February 14, 2017. Entering the Daily General Ledger for Donald Trump Revocable Trust. Entry the Daily General Ledger, February the 14th. We can go on and on right there. But these are 34 charges that Trump was found guilty of. And I know what you're asking now. Is he going to go to jail? He's never going to go to jail. He could have probation. He could be fined. He could be placed under house arrest. Probably house arrest once we find out the rest of the verdicts for the other cases. The case in Washington, D.C. where Trump may be guilty of inciting an insurrection, which he did. In New York City, where Donald Trump committed tax fraud, inflating the value of his properties for tax purposes. Donald Trump committed tax fraud in the greater state of New York. I think it's great that we're holding presidents accountable for crimes. I wish George W. Bush would be guilty for starting an illegal war. I don't know why he's not guilty. I wish we could charge George Bush. But I am concerned, though, that people may be going after political opponents if they actually... I mean, no person is above the law. The law should equally apply to the poor citizen as well as the most powerful citizen. Well, the president's not the most powerful person on the planet. The most powerful person is the private central bankers who control the country's money. All entirely different debate, I understand. The day that Donald Trump, his sentencing day is July the 11th. What's the day of the sentencing day to the election? $117 days. Now, falsifying business records with the S is 118. Falsifying business record is 117. 11th day of the 7th month is the best I can get with that. Business records go out to 64. There's not much Trump things that add up to 64, but Joe Biden has not spoken out against the genocide committed against Palestinians in Israel. Joe Biden's come out of Israel. Joe Biden's not going to overhaul the country's healthcare system. I think Joe Biden... Well, the thing is that Donald Trump lowered the corporate tax rate from 35 to 20, but then it's not back to 35 under Joe Biden. The overall tax rate is still lower compared to 2016. So, we raised the tax rate, Joe Biden. Well, he didn't raise the tax rate to prior years. He just didn't lower it as much as Donald Trump did. So the rich in this country, they own both sides of the country. The 2024 60th election is the conviction of a former president as it relates to the hush money payments directed by Michael Cohen having come out to 60 going to impact the outcome of this election. Well, I don't think this case is going to impact the election. What it comes down to is that Gen Z and Gen X hold the voting power of the country. The baby boomers are losing their influence over the election. Now, when Donald Trump won the election, it's because people didn't show up to vote. But now voter turnout is at an all-time level. If people actually voted for Hillary, Donald Trump would have lost 2016. But that says a lot about Trump. If he could only win against the worst candidate ever. Now, she was the worst candidate ever. I'm with her, whatever. It didn't hold any meaning. It didn't hold any merits. It seems like Hillary was only out for the women vote. People are going to vote based on the fact that Donald Trump is corrupt. And Joe Biden is confused. Now, he seems innocent because he's dealing with dementia. He seems rather innocent compared... No. Well, what was it? It came down to corruption, or it came down to What did voters say? What did voters say? Biden is old and Trump is corrupt, is how voters view the election. Well, you gotta have actual party ideals to stand on. Joe Biden brought back infrastructure. He passed the infrastructure bill. Donald Trump never passed an infrastructure bill. Joe Biden bought the CHIPS Act, brought manufacturing jobs back to the country. Donald Trump never passed a CHIPS Act. This Donald Trump obsession is a literal definition of a cult. This is what it is. The Trump death cult, Trump make America white again cult. Donald Trump is a cult. I'd rather see a real conservative leader run for president than Donald Trump. When are we going to see the Republican Party work with the other side? Have real ideals to stand on? There was no party platform in 2020. It's time that we end Trumpism for good after 2024. And maybe America can return back to so-called conservative ideals again. And maybe you can keep your laissez-faire economic agenda, but then you can be for saving the planet at the same time as it comes down to climate change. So that is what the Republicans need, is actual ideals to stand on rather than one man, Donald Trump. So that is what's going to decide the 2028 election, is when they get their heads screwed in again. It's not screwed loose. They get back into ideas rather than, I need Trump to save America. And then ignoring everything the fraud man Conster is doing. Maybe then, if you start embracing new ideas, maybe people will tune into the Republican Party. I'm telling you guys, Donald Trump has no chance of winning the election because every other candidate could actually beat Joe Biden. But because they're running the worst possible candidate, who did in fact lose to Joe Biden during a crisis, running Trump is why they lost. If they ran anyone else, I swear, they could have something to stand on. I tell every single one of you guys right now that Donald Trump is a 13-4 life path numerology. He was president for a total of 4 years. He's only going to win 1 out of 3 elections. That is the meaning of Donald's life path. That's exactly what it means by his life path. If you mad that we run in old men again in this election, the inauguration in 2025, Biden and Trump are both gematria of 25. And we're dealing with a sorry state of affairs where if America is a real democracy, Bernie would have been elected president. If we didn't have a corrupt superdelegate process in the DNC. It's corrupt. Republican Party, they silenced Ron Paul in 2008. They rigged their convention against Ron Paul in 2008. Because he probably would have been a stronger candidate against Obama. Well, Obama would still win because people think Ron Paul is crazy. This libertarian ideals, right? Libertarianism is dead. I believe, hopefully it's dead. That's a whole another debate on another day. libertarianism, and what it really represents. It's just a front for the billionaires and the wealthy donors. Anyway, if you're wondering about this stuff, I can talk more about it. I've gone apathetic about the news because it seems like Donald Trump dominated the news cycle every day for the last 4 years. So this is what America is sick and tired of. It's Donald Trump in the news cycle every single day, attacking and dividing Americans on Twitter. I believe this country has had enough of childish conmen like Donald Trump, and they want someone who will just do the job. Like no drama Obama. No drama Obama. He didn't make the news he didn't make outlandish, try to make the news with his tweets every day. These are the things that are going to decide the election, I tell you. Now, as I predicted before, Biden wins re-election, Kamala gets sworn in, and the Republican Party will win in 2028. And I think the Trump cult is still alive as of today, because Ivanka is more liberal than Donald Trump. And I think that's how they're going to play the con on the face. They're going to say they have new ideas because Ivanka's more liberal. They're going to, the corporate media will then say that she is going to bring in the liberals and the moderates with the climate change and the abortion and the women's rights. I'm telling you, that's where the Republican Party platform is going to head to in 2028. But this election, they have nothing to stand on. But things are going to change for over 4 years. Over 4 years is the 2028 election. So things will change in, let's say, roughly 3 to 4 years. That's my prediction.